Hey, good afternoon, Dr. Darkstar.
Good afternoon, B-Team.
Thank you. It is, what day is it? Tuesday? They all run together.
It's
Little kids.
Tuesday, I believe the 26th.
Tuesday, July 26th, and we have been wanting to do this, the top 5 dumbest moves the PGA Tour has made against the LIV Golf Tour. And it wasn't easy to get it down to 5. So we're going to try to do, it should be more like 15. And Jay Monahan should be fired. Jay Monahan, who should be fired. We're going to do that right now. So we'll keep the show tight today. We're about to pivot away from LIV for a little bit, even though we have a tournament coming up this week in New Jersey with the LIV guys. But this is not a show about golf. But it is a show about finding logical conclusions, and LIV's been such a great, the LIV versus PGA Tour has been such a great story for stupidity and poor corporate strategy.
It's been a business case study.
It has. It has. I'm not even, it definitely has. More like high school, though. It'd be like, no, this doesn't even, it's not good enough for business school. But you are exactly right, Darkstar. I'm going to give this to you because I know you are in a hurry to get your first point out there. We'll rip right through the top 5. So over to you, sir.
Absolutely. Well, actually trying to keep some continuity here because we touched on this briefly because it is something that I find ridiculous. Turning golf into a winter sport. Now, I play golf. I don't like playing when it's snowing and raining and sleet, but that's what they did. To try to make the FedEx Cup big, they turned it into a winter sport. They had the greatest thing ever. Bing Crosby held a clam bake in February. They had the Masters, which kicked off spring. You moved into the U.S. Open in the summer. You went over to Britain at the best time of year. And then you concluded right before school started in August. You hit spring. You kicked off summer. And you concluded the season, like I said, before school started. Now, what do you have now? You tried to avoid football, and you start your season the last week of the NFL season, and you compete against their playoffs and Super Bowl? And then you have March Madness you're competing against, and then you have the NBA playoffs and the hockey playoffs. You're competing against the other major sports, and you throw in baseball starts there. And then summer finally arrives, and your season ends.
That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part. So it's summer. Yeah, golf's about over.
Golf's over. Well, my point to that, of course, and I struggle when I get excited, but my point to that is it made them ripe. It made them ripe for the pickings. They were fresh meat to be slaughtered, and that's what the LIV Tour came in and is doing. So that's point 1.
Point 1. They moved the golf tour, the PGA Tour, to winter, and took it because they were going to go head to head with all the other major sports.
And what killed their ratings is they gave up those awesome spots. They gave up those awesome spots when they were competing against nobody. That's what killed them. They gave up the awesome spots. All right, so we're going to try to keep this concise. So we'll quickly move on to my number 2, or just number 2 in general. They had a
PGA Tour.
Yeah, let's take a moment of silence. I'm going to start that over. Sorry. Okay. So then my number 2, the PGA looks really, really bad after all of a sudden they came up with $170 million for their super events. And they made Phil look correct. They were hiding money. I mean, you can't say it any other way. You more than doubled your purses. They made Phil look right because he was sticking up for his initial intention. He was sticking up for the middle player who was struggling to make a living, and he said the PGA has a lot more money they should be spreading around. And we can quickly comment on what they tried, which is that PIP.
Well, we'll get that at the end. We'll get that in. Okay. That's coming. All right.
So
you can't overlook that. That's too juicy.
Yeah. And I just, so to me, that was reactionary. You don't you don't win, whether it's business or war, you don't win being reactionary. Being reactionary is not a strategy. We've heard that many times.
Not unless you want to lose. Yeah, I agree 100%. And the hiding of the money thing, it just, I mean, we could do a whole hour on, I mean, I can't imagine being in the room. I would have lost my mind if I were in that room when they were kicking that idea around. Hey, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then we'll just go ahead and create these super events, the super tour as we call it. I mean, I would, wait a minute, guys. That sends all the wrong signals to everybody. It confirms Mickelson was right. It confirms that we had obnoxious greed. It tells all the rank and file players that we were hiding money all along. It tells everybody we were screwing our employees, essentially, not employees, but we were screwing the guys out of money because we just came up with it immediately. We didn't even make it sound very painful. I mean, well, we'll make it sound painful. That's not going to work. That's a terrible idea. It's a good idea maybe 6 months ago, to your point of reactionary, but it's no good now. You don't. Yeah. Let's close the barn door. The horses are out already.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's an important detail.
Let's win this fight that we thought wasn't going to be a fight by copying their strategy. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the top 5 dumbest moves list for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And moving right along to messaging, because that has a messaging element to it, right? Their primary messaging strategy from the beginning, they being the PGA Tour, has been, among other things. I mean, fundamentally, let me say for our viewers, in my opinion, you could go 2 ways. Generally, you could go down let's fight on the merits. We have a better car. We have a better widget. We have a better service. We're better. We have better product than those other guys. So let's amplify what we do great. Maybe we'll add a few things to what we do great already. And they don't do that great, right? So that's how that's how we will win the hearts and minds of our fans. Or we could disparage their model. We could just crap all over their model, not talk about us, just talk about the other candidate, right? Just go negative, go negative, go negative, go negative. People, that's what they like to see, which is really disrespectful to your fans, I might add. That's what we'll do. So those are our choices. And those, Jay Monahan and his team, who should be fired, decided to do the genius thing, which is go negative often, all the time. In fact, let's not talk about the merits of what we do at all. Let's just crap all over LIV in any way that we can. So they just smeared LIV. It's dirty money, it's Saudi money, it's this, it's that. The players are all greedy. The players are arrogant. They're all the things that really the PGA Tour was being. They were blaming on LIV, an attempt to get the fans to turn away from LIV, and we see how that worked out. It has not worked, and it's utterly transparent. And blending right into point. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sure. It's interesting that even today, where they were trying to hype the Rocket Mortgage over the LIV, the personalities at LIV are obviously much greater. But the middle of the story talks about the dirty Saudi money, and that has been debunked. And we don't have to do that because it's been debunked over 15 million different podcasts, and they're still trying to play that card. So
the president of the United States flew into the country that you're pooping on to ask for help.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a good strategy. Hello, and it's obviously a stupid idea. Top 5 dumbest. That's number 3. Number 4 on our list of top 5 dumbest, and this is in no particular order. Although I like the moving to the winter is probably. Really is number 1, because that's just a fundamentally stupid thing to have done. Number 4, since it works so well to smear LIV Golf, and Greg Norman along with that, so to speak, let's smear Phil Mickelson, because he's a bad human. He's bad. Why is he bad? Well, he gambles. It's been rumored that he gambles or does these other things. He's a bad person. Oh, well, really? Yeah. So since he's bad and obnoxious and greedy and arrogant. What did Rory say? Greedy, arrogant, naive, all those fabulous things that Phil was. Somehow, in their strategy, that was going to turn fans off to LIV Golf because Phil Mickelson's a maybe bad guy. Well, Phil Mickelson, I would argue even to this day, is the second most popular player in modern golf, pro golf. I'd maintain that. I would. And we're going to destroy the second most popular guy. That's our strategy, which tells me, A, that's obviously dumb, but B, it tells me that you're only willing to throw your stars overboard, not just overboard, but really off a cliff and run them over with, what'd you say, a semi-truck?
A semi-truck in this case.
Yeah, it wasn't
Not
even
a car,
bus.
it's a semi.
Yeah, it was a semi. Let's really do the job. Let's kill him and his career and everything. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
You know, well, it might have been a freight train, but by the way, he is number 2 next to Tiger, who's number 1, but he's also, that makes him the top player who's actually playing golf.
Exactly. And we'll get to that because next point has PIP in it.
Yeah.
So to me, that by smearing Phil and throwing their number 2 guy off, what does that tell the players? What's that tell the rank and file? This is what will happen to you if you don't obey. Yeah. You will obey the PGA Tour leadership or you will be cast aside. Your career will be over. And moreover, we will destroy you personally. So all the sponsors that you thought you had and all that, no, we're going to make you look like a bad person so that nobody will touch you. So not only can you not compete and play professional golf, we're going to throw Phil off the tour and we're going to ruin his life. That's what we're going to do to make an example of him so that you rank and file don't have any ideas about doing what he's doing. Well, there's a great company to work with. What a great partner the PGA Tour is. Boy, I would want to go do that if I were them. You know, what an absurdity that is. You have thoughts on that?
Well, when you look at what they're trying to do, you're taking away a man's livelihood. Well, of course he's going to fight back. I think this is what Greg really learned the first time. You know, they take away Phil's card. They take away his ability to make endorsements. Greg came with the backing to win the fight. These players don't have to worry about their car. They don't have to worry about money. And I think LIV sets a better example for the young player. Do we want to be beholden to this organization, the PGA Tour, that will absolutely gut me if I go against them?
I step out of line. Yep.
Yeah.
You will be not only fired, we're going to fire you, but then we're going to ruin you as well.
Yeah.
Sounds like a political tactic, doesn't it? I've seen that tactic somewhere recently. I'm not sure where I've seen that, but I know it happened.
All right.
The number 5 on our top 5 is really a good one. So how do we prevent LIV from, really being a problem? They're certainly on the road to winning, but it's too early to tell even now. Here we are going into Bedminster's tournament, but they have the lead, it would seem, to us. If you're the PGA Tour and you knew it was coming, and they knew it was coming a year ago, so what did they do? They created a player impact program. I mean, you talk about, Deloitte Consulting or whoever they hired to come up with that. It sounds like an episode of House of Lies? Is that what that show was? With Don Cheadle. Hilarious.
Yes, very good show.
Hilarious
Cheadle,
show.
yes.
At least the first couple of seasons. So their consultant comes up, we'll do a player impact program. It'll be awesome. Because the tour had wanted what? They're like, well, we need to keep the stars, on board. And we know that we're hiding money and screwing all the players. They don't know that. Maybe they're suspicious. So we'll just create a slush fund. We need a slush fund that we can just hand out millions of dollars to people that we need to keep, and we need to keep happy, and we need to keep loyal. So we want to have a little walking around money to throw at these guys. And 30, 40, 50 million, that sounds like a lot. So how are we going to do that? Well, we'll just create this improvement thing, this impact thing. And we'll have these arbitrary and capricious criteria where if you get more Google searches or whatever, we can change it. It's not written in stone. If we need to change the criteria, we'll just do that. And then they awarded it to, instead of, I didn't connect the dots. I apologize, audience. So they come up with the player impact program instead of negotiating digital rights for the players, which is what the key players were asking for. I'm sure obviously Phil, but others. So instead of just sitting at the table and saying, look, you have a point, other sports are doing this, what can we do that's, in everybody's interest? You get your digital rights, we still retain some, et cetera, we'll work as partners. No, instead of doing that, where they needed to focus their time and attention behind the scenes, nobody would have heard about it. They did this PIP thing, unbelievable. Now, to put the cherry on top, and then I want your opinion, Darkstar. To put the cherry on top of the digital rights miss, they still haven't negotiated it, as far as I know, which is sort of the crux of the whole thing, or at least part of it, big part of it. It seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that college athletes, amateur athletes, even in high school, have likeness and image money now. And I don't think that the PGA Tour players even have likeness and image money available to them.
Not at this point. And so first of all,
on what planet
PIP
is that a strategy that works?
Well, so first of all, comment number one. The PIP program did exactly what it was designed to do. And I've said this on other episodes. Throw money at the stars. When they're in trouble, they throw money at the stars. Doesn't exactly what Phil has been preaching against the whole time. Yes, they do not have name, image, likeness still as a PGA Tour player. So they could have made LIV go away by announcing their Super Tour, and not even name, image, likeness, but revenue sharing like every other major sport. They put in revenue sharing, they give them some name, image, likeness, and they announce in between the majors, now we're going to have a huge tournament with a limited field. There is no more LIV. The LIV is going to be around next year, and the LIV is winning because they're doing what the players want. They still want it to be golf where the best player on the course makes the most money, and they could have done that. But like I said, they're behind the eight ball. To not negotiate just revenue sharing in general is I don't have a word that I can say on the air that describes that.
You can imagine. I mean, I've thought of some fiascos like in business, like eBay buying the phone company. It was like, what? You're going to do what? Skype. So eBay buys Skype for $3 billion, I think was the number. You guys can look that up and tell me if that's right. But at the time, and eBay is like, oh yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to give us international exposure. It'll be fantastic. And they dumped it, 2 years later back to the original founders, who then fixed it and sold it for $8 billion later to Microsoft. I mean, you talk about colossal stupidity. This is up there with that, I think. For sure it is.
Yeah.
For sure it is. But we'll finish on this note because I can't leave it alone. The player I have to look every time because it's such a stupid name. I can't even remember. The Player Impact Program, the PIP, went to, drumroll, Tiger Woods. Well, there's a shocker. Phil Mickelson, number 2, gets $6 million. Rory McIlroy, 3.5 million. Jordan Spieth, 4. Bryson DeChambeau, 5. And here's where it gets fun. Bryson he's in 5th place, gets 3.5. JT, Justin Thomas, 6th place. Dustin Johnson, 7th place. Brooks Koepka, 8th place. Then John Rahm, Bubba Watson. Bubba Watson made the list. Good for you, Bubba. That's because you're a popular guy, because you are a transparently decent guy. And LIV would love to have you, I would guess. But how about that? 4 of the top 8 guys in the PIP from last season went to LIV. So you'd have to argue that the PIP was not only a bad idea, but it failed utterly to keep any of the stars aligned, if that was the intention.
I completely agree. They were going to go, I think, because probably they were fed up with the PGA in general, and the players need to get out from under this. They deserve better. You look at all the other sports, and I don't hope they get a union like some of the other sports. We certainly don't want to see them go on strike. However, they deserve better.
That's all for this video. For Dr. Darkstar and me, thanks for watching. This is a show about finding logical conclusions, and we appreciate you coming along with us. We'll be adding episodes as fast as we can. There's certainly no shortage of things going on in this world.